What is going on, guys? Riley Got Grails here. Today I wanted to make a video discussing consignment in 2024 and what you should look out for when consigning. So as a lot of you know, consignment is one of the main methods I used when I first started off to make a lot of my initial capital. It really helped me scale and make a lot of money quickly and get me to the point where I really am today. I've always been a big fan of it. I've had my ups and my downs. I made a few videos covering some stores where consignment wasn't so good, but I've also covered times when consignment was phenomenal. But there have been a few things that I've noticed in 2023 and this year that I really think that new resellers and consigners should be looking out for. So in this video, I just wanted to cover those very briefly. So as you can tell by the title, there's a few reasons why I think you should not be doing consignment anymore. And if you are, why I would kind of hold back or not do it as hard. And a lot of those reasons have to do with like the mainstreaming of consignment. There's an app called Sneaker Consign. It's a phenomenal app. I think Sneaker Invest, what he did was really, really great. I've always looked up to him. I think this is really innovative, but at the same time, while it's so good, it also brings a lot of oversaturation. A lot of the oversaturation to me looks like what happens to like apps like StockX, GOAT, Sneaker Dunk. A lot of those, obviously StockX and GOAT are really, really big, but apps like Sneaker Dunk, when there was a smaller user base, prices were a lot better, people made a lot more money, and there was not as many fees associated. But as we see now, with the more people, you have to worry about undercutting, oversaturation, and really still getting those payouts that you always kind of are looking for. So when I talk about why you shouldn't do consignment, it mainly has to do with the fact of oversaturation, and there's so many people trying to consign now. A lot of the time, stores that you might be reaching out to or looking to consign with already have hundreds of consigners, and this means that your pairs are going to move really, really slow. You're going to have to cut your prices a lot, and your inventory is going to be sitting for a prolonged period of time, which in my opinion is not worth it. Now, obviously, you're giving up time for these higher payouts. That's how consignment has always worked. And while that used to be good, I would say now it's the risk to reward is really balancing out, and I don't think it's as valuable anymore. Another issue I've seen is issues with stores. There's a few that have really been screwing over their consigners. I've personally had a few issues with getting my pairs back. And when you're giving someone your inventory and waiting for it to sell, that's not something that you want to be thinking about, especially when you really rely on those pairs. Whether it's a couple $100, a couple thousand, no one wants to be losing money or their inventory over some stupid mistakes or miscommunication with stores. Another reason why I think you shouldn't really be focusing on consignment anymore is there's so many more methods now. As we've seen, markets have been super, super low. Shoes that you could get locally for like $300, $320 and consign with a payout of $400 is really hard and difficult anymore. You don't really see that. So I think there's just a lot better alternatives to make the same amount of money that you would consigning, but on your own, and in my opinion, a lot more efficient and safer. Now, of course, consignment isn't all bad. Like, I would still say I wouldn't completely cut consignment out of the picture anymore. I would just say that there's a lot more requirements now, or a lot more things that you should be looking for when you are consigning. And in my opinion, here are a few that I've listed. The first one is you want to be an established seller. One thing that I really screwed up on is I focused on consignment. I didn't build really the community of people always buying from me and people always selling to me that a lot of the larger resellers have. I'm not really established outside of sneaker stores knowing who I am and other resellers. I don't have a great following at all, and it's really because I always focus on consignment. I missed out on growing who I am as a reseller and growing my brand essentially. So I would say do not miss out on that, and do not focus on consignment if that means giving up resources to growing your brand, whether that's your Instagram page or anything like that. Another thing is you need to have a lot of capital now. It's not like before where you could have $1,000, buy a couple pairs, send them in. They'd sell in a couple weeks, you get that money back and just cycle it super, super quickly. Your pairs are gonna be sitting for months now. I have pairs sitting for almost a year in some spots. So I would say you need at minimum $10,000 in capital, if not more. And another requirement, at least that I try and, always look for when I'm looking for new stores to consign with, is find lesser known places. You want places that are obviously established enough to you're not going to get scammed and they're trustworthy, but you want places that are either have a very specific criteria for resellers, or don't let just anyone consign there, because you do not want to go to an oversaturated store, send in your pairs, and you go through the hassle of either trying to get them out because they're not selling, or just always cutting your prices and losing out on money. I would say that, you got to be patient now, and just try and find local stores too if you can, because it makes it a whole lot easier with finding these stores that you can have consignment success with. And just another few observations I wanted to point out were consignment has become a seasonal based thing now. It used to be you can stores, especially during 2020, 2021, stores were always pumping out, sales. It didn't matter what time of year it was, shoes were always selling. Now it's, the very big seasons, like, reselling has always kind of been, summertime, back to school, winter, like Christmas, winter time, like that. It's very seasonal now, which is a downside, because that means that you're going to be waiting a lot longer to potentially get, these big sales that you're seeking with consignment. And that's kind of why I, don't recommend it as well, just because, super slow sales. But shoes have also not been selling for as much as they used to. You used to be able to, get list pairs for $100, $150 over StockX, ask, and still make like $80 after fees over what the StockX ask was. So for instance, if a shoe was $300 on StockX, you could put it on consignment for $450, make $400, you're pocketing that $100 profit. Whereas if you sold on StockX, you'd make $270, so you're making $130 more. Now pairs, I have some shoes that are $50 over StockX ask, and with payout on those is, it's still really good compared to StockX payout, but I think I can make the same amount of money selling it locally in a fraction of the time. But as far as, consignment goes in 2024, I would say if you were to consign, I'd start getting pairs in for the summertime. Summertime's gonna be good. Focus on hype shoes that sell. Don't try and go for those grails or just really anything anymore that you think you can make money on. Go for things that you will sell. And if you're not sure about that, my best advice to you is go on StockX, see what has the most sales volume, and focus those pairs. Another thing I recommend is, if you are going to consign, find stores that aren't oversaturated, like I said, and then ask them what they need, and only source what they need, because you're guaranteed not to flood the store with shoes that they already have that may not sell. But as far as this video goes, that's about all I have for you guys. I wanted to make it quick. If you have any questions about consignment, please let me know. But in my opinion, if you're starting off in reselling, and if I were in your situation, I would not do consignment anymore. I think that it's just very, very hard. You don't make as much as you used to, and you're giving up a lot of resources for a potential, really, really big payout. So in my opinion, consignment has changed a lot. It's gone from, anyone can do it, to really only people with a lot of capital and the resources. So in my opinion, consignment in 2024 is not dead. It's just a very different game. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.